It's my pleasure to now introduce someone that I was very fortunate to hear at the TEDx Toronto last fall. Dave Dame is a leadership coach, an enterprise agile leader, and is responsible for driving large-scale transformation in complex organizations. In his current role as Vice President of Global Agile at Scotiabank, Dave has built an agile organization across 5 countries with the goal of engaging Scotiabankers across the globe to embrace agility and change. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Dave Dame.
Months to now. Maybe I set unrealistic goals for myself. But you know what? It's an unrealistic world. Or so if I don't set unrealistic goals, I won't make it in this world. If nothing more today happens, I hope somebody, as Terry inspired me, hopefully I was able to inspire someone else to do something for a cause and be able to have this kind of feeling to give to a cause. When there was those moments where I didn't think I could go anymore, the cheering, the people with me were giving me that energy, and I was feeding that energy. But looking back on today, being around with so many people achieving the 5K, it feels awesome. If you would have heard someone in their mid-40s walk 5 kilometers, you would first think, so what? But after watching this clip and seeing me in front of you on stage, now you understand. Success depends on the perspective in which you're looking at something. And on that very day, I changed the perspective of what someone confined in a wheelchair can do. I have cerebral palsy, but cerebral palsy doesn't define me. I'm one of the world-leading experts in agile and leading organizational change. What is agile? Agile is a framework that helps us move through decisions quicker by trying, learning, and applying the learning. It helps solve for the complexity and unknown, and really is a catalyst for change. It really helps us go from idea into customers' hands of value in the shortest time possible. I'm going to share with you today how growing up with cerebral palsy, having to use an agile mindset to change the perspectives of the world that wasn't ready for somebody with a disability, are the very things I use to help organizations with their disability. They don't have cerebral palsy. They have the inability to change from their status quo. The MLSE, you guys have had a long, rich history. But what got you here is not going to get you where you need to go. Like many other businesses, the world is moving quicker than ever. More demanding customers, new technology, and even a global competitive marketplace. The need for us to really discover a customer's need before they realize they have a need is more important than ever. And we need to learn to disrupt ourselves before someone else beats us to it. Blockbuster, who remembers them? Show of hands. Thank goodness there's people my age. What happened to Blockbuster? When technology came, they didn't want to change their business model from renting videos to streaming. So where are they today? Kodak. They were one of the world-leading producers of film. What happened to them? Anybody? They got disrupted by digital. And what was really fascinating about Kodak, they were actually the first ones to invent a digital camera, but they were afraid that it would compete against their film business, so they decided not to use it. They shelved it, and someone else beat them to it. Now, there's been industries that have done very well to pivot change as the world changed. Look at the way we used to buy tickets. There was a day where we'd go the night before, line up no matter what weather condition to buy the tickets we wanted. Then it got to be easier where we could order the tickets on phone and not have to leave the house and have the tickets mailed to us. Then when the internet came, we could quickly log in, download, grab tickets, print it off, and there we had it. Now with a mobile device, on my way to work, I can buy a ticket and get a digital ticket on my way to work without impacting what I need to do for that day. What makes it hard for the Kodaks and Blockbusters of the world to change? They are leaving a comfortable story of success that have been told time and time again to a story that hasn't yet been written. And that is uncomfortable because we get fear of the unknown. As an organization, you have to get comfortable at becoming uncomfortable. So today I'm going to share with you the same 3 things my parents and myself did to change the world's perspective of somebody with cerebral palsy are the 3 same things I help organizations with. It's creating change in unison, example, co-creating with your people, creating an autonomous environment where everybody can act as leaders, and then thirdly, the resilience, what we need to do to build long after we're gone. Co-creating change or creating change together. My first example of learning this was with my parents. In 1971, they were told, David may not live past 12. David may never be able to speak clearly, if at all. And if he does, don't expect much because the world isn't set up for somebody with cerebral palsy to have a fulfilling life. In 1971, this was the status quo. But luckily for me, my parents wanted to really challenge this very status quo. They were going to take an agile mindset to inspect and adapt and work with everybody else in the community to begin changing that perception, whether it was working with government, school boards, and no matter who else. They were going to figure out a way to get me to grade school, how I could go to high school, and even move away from university. They were able to change the perception to give me the life I have today. And they did that by not trying to fight everything themselves, but by bringing everybody along with them in the change. So when I come to organizations, I usually see they struggle by having very few people at the top, really deciding what the change is, and then imposing the change on the rest of the organization. This is wrong for so many reasons. For one, we're not utilizing the talent we brought people in. Why do we do the change in isolation and impose it on them? Let's bring them in on designing the change, the people closest to the work, and move from telling them to asking them to make sure we can co-create a change with diverse perspectives, diverse thoughts. That way you get them aligned and bought into the change before it's even rolled out. It allows the organizations to move together in alignment. Because when you do it, people feel lost and don't know where they belong in the change. Imagine while we're here today, your team is in your office right now, rearranging your desk, logging into your computer, rearranging your folders, changing your applications, all with you not knowing it. Tomorrow morning, you go back to work to catch up on all your emails because you're not checking your email right now, right? So that way, when you come in, you see your whole office has changed. You don't know where to begin because it changed, and you weren't brought along with the change. You have the same pressure to do the work like you did before today in a new environment that you don't know why the change happened, you don't know what changed, and you don't know if the change is even finished. It leaves you wondering why instead of supporting the change and moving forward. Another thing that helps organizations move quicker with change is pushing decision-making down. Because right now, in organizations, all the decisions are made by very few people at the top, which causes a big traffic jam of decisions to be made. They're spending their time going through every detail because that gives them comfort to make every kind of decision. This slows things down. By show of hands, how many of you are waiting for someone on a decision right now? Okay, let me switch this around. How many of you are holding up a decision, holding somebody back right now? That's good. We got a lot of middle management here. I like this because I've seen some people hold their hand up twice. This is the very thing we need to do. And I've been guilty of this too. Not because I want to slow things down. That's why would I be an agile leader? But it's more I can't give up that control because I get the comfort of control. When we're pushing decision-making down and having to trust others, that's a loss of control. But by giving that control down, allowing decisions to be quickly made, those decisions you're holding up right now, the team could have been already iterating, innovating, and throwing out things that didn't work in pursuit of finding the best idea. But we got to embrace our vulnerability to have this happen. And for me, my parents had to do this. So I decided to move out of town to go to university. So I had to hire, at the age of 18, before I even really worked, I had to hire a personal support worker. This is a person who will come in, get me out of bed, shower me, and dress me so I can go off to school. My parents had to give up control to me that I would hire the right person to be able to do this, to give me more freedom and capability to be able to move forward. And this is incredibly vulnerable. Imagine trusting a stranger who you just recently met to see you naked in the shower. Do you get what I'm feeling? To help you feel this, I want you to look in someone's eye right beside you. Find somebody around you and look into their eyes. I'm waiting. Look deep into their eyes. What if I told you that right after my talk, you were going to be naked in front of this person? It feels uncomfortable, doesn't it? But this is the vulnerability we need to embrace, because if we can move from making all the decisions to teaching our people how to make better decisions, we get to do the work we do at night because we don't have time to do during the day, and they can help the organization move forward through change. Okay, everybody's still looking at each other. We might have to take a break after my talk. I've talked about leader a lot. How do we define a leader? Is it title? Is it prestige? While you're thinking about that, let me tell you a story about my personal support worker, B. B is a personal support worker I've had for many years of my professional career. And for every day at 5 in the morning, he would come up to my house, get me out of bed, shower me and dress me, and bring me into work for 7:30. He devoted his life to make sure I could get out there and do that. So that way when I went into an organization, I can bring my experience and skills to help them be relevant and compete in their markets. He doesn't have a position of title. It's not a glamorous position, and sadly, it's even looked down upon. But B is one of the greatest leaders I know because he devotes everything so I can give my best to help others. So let me ask you, who are you willing to shower to make the MLSE better? And now I've talked about leaders, The only thing better for a company to have a few great leaders is to have a company full of leaders. So to build resilience, we need to spend more time developing our people, asking them, helping them grow, then we need to tell them what to do and force them down a path. We need to walk with them to teach them it's comfortable to fail. Get them to learn to, because you can't just make decisions right away and not be afraid. Think about when we became a manager for our first time. That was the first time we ever had to make a decision. So now getting them good at learning to make decisions early, coaching them that they can make a mistake, because you can fix a wrong decision a lot quicker than you can fix a non-decision. Get them comfortable to being wrong. Get them comfortable to be resilient. Get them to be a leaderful organization. Because if you create an organization where everybody feels empowered to push beyond their limits, you're going to have an organization that's resilient to change and can innovate at a rate quicker than you can imagine, because they're not waiting for you, you've developed them. And that way, as people come and go, you're building a culture of autonomy and leadership that can withstand resilience. And this is what I learned when I was preparing for the 5K walk. When I was preparing for the 5K walk, I couldn't walk past a certain threshold. Not because I wasn't strong enough, because as you saw in that video, I was pumping some weights. It wasn't that I was in pain, but I was letting the fear of falling hold me back. We've all had those voices in our head. You can't do it. You're not good enough. If I fall, it's going to hurt. If I fall, people are not going to think you can do it. They're going to lose trust. They're going to lose confidence. The best way I shut that voice up was I fell. And my trainer was right there to pick me back up. And he goes, "What did you learn?" And we talked about it. And then I walked further. And then I fell again. And then he picked me back up. What did I learn? Kept moving forward. It wasn't that I learned to walk 5 kilometers. I learned to pick myself up every time I fell. My trainer acted as a leader and made it safe for me to fall. I'd like to leave you with 3 things today. So when you go back to your office, I want you to, whatever change you're doing at whatever scope, work with your people to co-create that change. Get them involved. You brought these people in for a reason. Go from telling to asking. Get their perspectives and build a change that you can all support together, because then you're going to be able to change more fluidly. Create other leaders. 2, go back and start looking at all the decisions you're making and look to start pushing decisions down. Embrace that vulnerability. Look for whatever decision you make, you're going to let your team make 3, because there's critical decisions you need to make as a leader because of the risk and everything else. But there's a lot of decisions, and you know it, that you're making today that you can hand down. So try to keep 1 decision for every 3 for the team. And lastly, but most important of them all, you have to make it safe to fail. So when you go back, I want you to go back and share 2 of your biggest professional failures that you've made and how you've grown from them. Because if they can see their leader became a success, not because they avoided failure, rather they embraced it, fell, learned, got back up, and became more resilient, you create a culture where we can all grow, we can all learn, and we can all be resilient. This might sound unrealistic, but you know what? It's an unrealistic world. So if you don't set unrealistic goals, you're not going to make it. It's not, should you change? It's not, can you change? Will you change? Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Dave. So inspiring and incredible talk. Very appreciative that you came out here to join us today. And for some of you, I don't know if you noticed in the video, but Dave is kind of an extended family member to us at MLSE. Dave's married to Kelly Dame in our payroll department. So there you have it.